This kick, you would hear that in like a house record, it's really punchy. I know that that is going to work in a club. And not only is it going to work in a club, it's going to work on radio as well. I feel like it's a little bit slow. I might even end up using more of a lead sound that ends up being the bass. And maybe we need some kind of other musical element. That could be quite cool. And then I can layer that with some snare drums. With bass lines, I will split those up. I can have complete control over the sub and the mid-range of that sound. Straight for the kick drum, let's do it. We had a nice kick from that session previously. Let's try that, see if it still fits. That sounds better. And that's what I was saying, it's like, for me, this kick, you would hear that in like a house record, it's really punchy, really full. I know that that is going to work in a club. And not only is it going to work in a club, it's going to work on radio as well. So let's put that in.
I'm never gonna let you down.
Cool.
I'm never gonna let you down. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love.
Cool. So at the moment we've got a 4-bar drop there. I might make it 8-bar just to. But let's have a look. We need to start looking at some sounds, what I would essentially use. Cool, let's go for a bass first and see what we can get. I'm just gonna go through some presets. I kind of got an idea in my head of what I want it to sound like. Let's put a sidechain on this as well, because we're at that point where we're in the club. We need sidechain. So let's pull that back to her.
I'm never gonna let you down. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson.
It's a really hard sound, that. And the thing is, I can hear what many of these kind of the perfect genres for these sounds, but it's sometimes those sounds that can make your track sound different because it's not the same sort of genre that it's placed in. So, you know, I use every sound. I might even end up using a lead, like more of a lead sound that ends up being the bass. So, I don't know yet. Just keep exploring.
It's a lesson in love.
Like that.
It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned.
So now that we've found a bass sound that I think is going to work, let's try it out and let's try and find a rhythm that is also going to work. I think I had some kind of an idea.
It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson.
Again, it's another reason why I like to play it in, just to get the feel, rather than kind of sitting there on the piano roll trying to dot it all in. It's more of a feel for me at this point.
It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned.
Cool, let's try that. I'm going to put some swing on it as well.
It's a lesson learned.
Cool, so I really like this sound actually, but the thing is it just feels a little bit too short. I want it to have more of a groove, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to open up the release and the sustain. So we're going to switch it to mono as well so that the notes don't overlap. Try that now.
It's a lesson learned.
And again, we can even we can have a look at that rhythm. We're going to obviously make the velocity all thick.
It's a lesson learned.
I'm going to remove that lower. I could hear there was a sub there, there was a sine wave, so we're going to turn that off. And what I'm going to do is pull back on some of that reverb. It's quite heavy. With bass lines, what I tend to do a lot is I will split those up, so that I'll have like kind of my mid kind of sound, which is this. I would say it's the kind of more mid-range sounding bass. Then I want to get some kind of low-end sub to really thicken it out. I don't think we're going to need a top-end one on this one. It feels quite toppy already. Yeah, I'm just going to add a nice sub under this. So I can still hear there's some sub on this sound, so even though I've removed it, it's coming from one of the oscillators instead. So I'm going to remove it here, and again, this is going to be a part of the mixing as well, but this is just to kind of clean up at the moment so I can carry on.
It's a lesson learned.
Cool, let's have a look at more of kind of a sine wave sub to really thicken out that sound. And we're just going to copy over that same MIDI region as well. We don't want it to be different. You can use anything for this. I actually use a lot of the time. This is probably going to shock a lot of people. But the sine wave out of the sampler in Logic is great. It always works. And it's literally just a case of loading that in mono. And then you've got... So you're gonna need your headphones on to hear that, or a good pair of speakers. But that's super, super low. So I'm gonna add a bit of the release on there. So, we need to put that in mono as well, like I just did with the other sound. I'm going to get rid of that click at the start. Let's try it, let's see how it sounds. So we're going to shift it down. So straight away, even before I play this with the kick, I'm just going to remove some of that low end because I know it's going to be in the way of our kick. I'm going to put a sidechain on there. I used to kind of put all my basses into a group and then I'd sidechain it that way, but to be honest, these are so CPU light that, and I'd rather have more control. Maybe this one doesn't want as much mix, or maybe it wants more mix, and I'd rather have a bit more control over the sidechain. So.
It's a lesson learned.
Let's mute those vocals because it's going to get annoying hearing those all the time. Cool. What I'm going to do, something that I tend to do a lot on my songs, is I might think a sound is good, but I'm going to trial some other bits as well just to make sure. So I'm going to put that on mute. I'm going to try another plugin for a minute. So something else which is really good for subs is Monarch. It's a standard instrument within Reactor, and I've seen a lot of people using this. I've been using this for a long time as well. It's basically a mini Moog, very, very analog sounding. Cool, let's try that. I'm not sure if it's a sine wave that I'm hearing, which is why. Cool. So we need to change the release on this slightly. That's without the sidechain as well, so let's get that sidechain on. I'm gonna throw that over, but I'm not gonna take out as much low end. And the reason I like to have these separated is because I can have complete control over the sub and the mid-range of that sound. You want it to sound like one sound, obviously, and that's just a great way of just having more control. Exactly the same process as if you had other kick drums in the song. Obviously, we've only been using two kick drums on this track, but not at the same time. So it's it's just about having that control. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. Cool, it feels really good. So let's just have a listen in context and go back slightly and just so mute those vocals.
Everybody changes, and I know right now I'm never gonna let you down. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love.
Cool. I'm just kind of thinking where I'm going to go with this, with the kind of second half of this drop. I do like it kind of going down to the bass line at the start. But maybe we need some kind of other musical element. Maybe it's another vocal chop that we put in there. Just have a play around again and see where we land. Pull that reverb back. Let's try pitching this up as well. Let's go for about 6 again. Yeah, let's try that. So again, it's just all kind of trial and error with this. It might not work, it might be a different synth sound. Let's carry on in the meantime, and things will come during the process. So that was something that we had early on in the session, which was a ukulele, which I completely forgot about until I just unmuted it right there. Could be a really cool sound to add back in, so maybe we'll add that on the second half. The one thing I'm thinking on this project, I feel like it's a little bit slow, actually. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the tempo up by 2. So the way we do that is, we're going to have to use flex time for this because I'm using a few audio files in here. And that does happen on a lot of my records. You know, people will say, people within my team will say, oh, you know, it feels like the record is a bit slow, it could be faster, or it's a bit too fast, it could be slower. So this is cool. So we're going to take it to 106 and try that.
Till the sunrise, you give me life, you give me life. We've been through it all together. You give me life, you give me life. I know the tides are gonna turn, I know the sun's gonna set, and all the things I should have learned, I didn't learn them yet. And I know everybody changes, and I know right now I'm never gonna let you down. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love.
So instantly that feels much more better to me. It feels more, the groove is a bit more, it's got more kind of energy to it. So yeah, I kind of like that. Let me try putting the lead over here as well, see if that works. Oops, didn't mean to do that.
Everybody changes, and I know right now I'm never gonna let you down. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love. It's a lesson in love.
Cool, quite nice in the second half. Now we need to add in some extra drum elements because all we have is a kick drum there. So I'm gonna have a quick look at Splice and see if there's anything that feels like a kind of drum groove that could work on top of that. I love using Splice for this. Sounds pretty cool, let's have a listen. Bit too electronic sounding for me. I want more of an organic kind of. That could be quite cool. And then I can layer that with some snare drums and stuff like that. Cool, like that. The swing's a little bit too much for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into flex time, do it as rhythmic, and I'm going to select it on 16B. Let's try that. Perfect, love that. Let's keep going and see if we can find some others. I mean, I love reggaeton, so I'm up for adding this all day long, but let's see if it actually works in the record. What I might do to this one actually is the thing I like to use is, sometimes if a sound is a little bit too bright to me, rather than use an EQ or a filter, I actually use that overdrive plugin. And I mess with the tone. So you can kind of get a bit of grit, but you can also essentially take off the top end as well. You can curve it. So let's have a quick listen to that. Really like that. So straight away, if I remove those, you can just hear the energy that that's brought to the record now. So. Maybe hearing some kind of a tambourine as well, something like that. Oh, I like the shaker in that. And again, with using samples like this, you haven't got to use the whole sample. You can just use pieces, and I actually just really like that shaker. So let's take that. I'm gonna put a side chain on that. Let's keep going, see what we find. I'm actually not going to duplicate that because it had all the channel strip stuff on it. That is fire. Let's have a listen to that. very messy, but I do like the little fill in there, and I'm actually going to shift the location of that to there. So the section that I'm going to take from that is this. Essentially they are the same, yeah. I feel like it needs some kind of standard, like kind of sounding hi-hats to keep that groove going, something like a 909 on the offbeat. So let's just try finding one of those. Nice. Cool, let's get that in. So really cool. You can see how this is kind of really getting there. And I would just kind of carry on and carry on and carry on until really refine it until we get the sounds that I'm kind of after. But we're pretty much there.